Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Boykin. I'm Director of Marketing with Protech Associates. We are an AMS solution provider built on the Microsoft platform. We're a second generation company, and what sets us apart is that we have deep roots, but because we're on the Microsoft platform, you can innovate around that, and your people won't. So that's the end of the commercial. That's all I'm going to say about that. I am new to Protech. I'm 6.5 months into my journey there. I'm 55. I started my career at IBM Corporation in marketing and sales. So at that time, marketing, IBM was sort of like the Google of the world. Like, ooh, wow, you work for IBM? I remember we showed up and they had Dress for Success sitting on our chair. And I don't know why they hired me, you guys, because I had this hair. It was, remember when it was shorn on this side and it came down like this? And I had the blue suit on, and women, we dressed like men, and we had those floppy bow ties. And I look at pictures of myself now, and I think, oh, honey, I just did not get my brand at all. I just did not fit there. But it was a great place to be from. After that, I spent about 20 years working for associations as Director of Membership and Marketing, so I come from your world. And then as my boys, I have 6 stinky back-talking boys. And as my boys got older, I decided to run my own company called Life After Tampons. .com, quit your bitching, change your life. And I was an international consultant on women entrepreneurs changing their life at midlife. That's what I did. But I got too lonely because, it's just me and 3,000 women from around the world in the woods. And so that's, my boys were leaving, and so that's why I went back to work for a company. Now, I wanted to say a little bit about that. So when I spoke all the time, can you hear me? Okay. So when I spoke all the time for Life After Tampons, I would say to my audiences, and I hope you all are cool enough to do this. I don't know, there's a lot of guys here, but maybe, I don't know. Not that you're not cool, because I love men. I have a bunch. But I would say, what I'm looking for here is the one thing that changes your heart or mind or entertains you. And when I get to that thing, I hope that somebody here will be the brave one, the first one to go, hot flash. And that'll let me know that I'm impacting you, okay? So hot flash, anybody here think they might be brave enough to do that? We'll see, okay? I was president of my IBM training class. In those days, we spent a year in training before they let us talk to customers. We flew to Atlanta and we trained, and as part of the graduating thing, I had to give the little valedictorian speech. And which is so ironic because I remember that hair. And I had read this thing in Reader's Digest. I don't even know, is Reader's Digest even a thing anymore? Okay, well, so there was a story in Reader's Digest about this. I translated it to this sales director and this young sales whippersnapper kind of guy. You know how those salespeople are. And so the sales director was trying to give the young guy direction on how to close this deal. And he's like, I got it. He didn't want any interference. He thought he had the whole thing. And so the sales manager wisely stepped out. Well, push came to shove, and it was time to close the deal. And thank you for the tee up about horse to water, by the way. The deal didn't happen. The deal fell through. So the moment of reckoning happens. Has anybody here ever been in sales and marketing? Where you have that meeting where you go in, how many uncomfortable meetings do you get to have, quota. And he goes, and the sales guy goes into the director's office and says, well, I guess at the end of the day, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. And the very wise sales manager said, and this is so important for our topic today, is, son, your job is not to make the horse drink. Your job is to make the horse thirsty. Invitation to drink. And that's what marketing is. Any hot flashes from that? That's a good story. All right. So that's what we're going to talk is about thirsty. Okay, this could be the most boring crap presentation of all day. Know your customer. Blah, 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 blah. How many of y'all are thinking demographics? You know your customer. How old they are, when they went to school, what Facebook group they're in. Raise your hand if you know that stuff. You think that's important. How long they've been a member of the association. How many of y'all know how long they've been in your field. All that. That's great. That's necessary but not sufficient to success. You cannot win on demographics. So we're going to talk about psychographics instead. I posit, and I'm the only marketing person on the planet who believes this way, that all of marketing is really about alleviating suffering. That's what it is. Because if you think of every decision you make, I'm going to marry that man. I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to have that baby. I'm going to take that job. It's because you think the future state is better than the one you have right now, right? Would you agree with that? That's why you make your buying decisions, right? So Nelson Mandela said, our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. So my background is I have a degree in marketing, blah, 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 blah. And some stuff happened, a really sad thing. One of my only daughter died. That's what happened. And recovering from Grace's death made me very fascinated about loss and suffering and why it is that when confronted with hardship, some people overcome it and some people don't. Some people get bitter and some people get better, right? And so I went to my master's program as the Triumph of the Human Spirit, because what I'm passionate about is what makes people thrive. And so I intersect those two things with my marketing. So therefore, you need to know why, how do your people hurt. Now, before we go into hurt, I want you to understand that your customer is not just your member. If you're selling me stuff, I'm not your customer. Your boss is your customer. Your coworker is your customer. The people in your house are your customer. Anybody that you have to persuade is your customer. And so in order to do that, it's great to know demographics. Well, I'm going to find them at the ASA Tech Conference. That's where they're going to be. You know, okay, well, that's where I'm going to be. But you can't win on that. There are 3 sufferings that are common to the human experience. And they drive almost every decision that you make. And you may not be aware that you're driving those decisions behind that. The first is fear, the desire for safety for themselves and for family. And actually, folks, it's really not safety that we're looking for, right? Because who here isn't going to be dead in 100 years? Please raise your hand. You're looking for safety, it's an illusion, right? What we're looking for is the feeling of safety, right? Would you agree with that? So we're giving the feeling of safety. Loneliness is the desire for community, and there are people that are motivated by community. They feel alone. And then the last one is insignificance, the desire to matter. And it's interesting that number 2 and 3 are kind of foils for each other. It's like I want to be a part of the group, but I want to stand out, right? Okay, so I'm currently a member of Weight Watchers. I'll tell you all my stuff. Okay. If you go to the Weight Watchers app, people will be posting about why they joined Weight Watchers. And there'll be those who go, well, I'm afraid about health and diabetes. Which group are they in? Here, right? Safety. And then some will say, well, I found that my weight is keeping me from doing things, and I'm sitting at home by myself while all my family and friends are going out to do stuff. Which one is that? Right. Mine is always insignificance. It's insignificance. I'm there because I want to be hot. That's it. Okay? So it's understand what motivates people. And the thing is, at different periods in your life, different things are going to motivate you. When I was a single mother, I'm all about safety. But really my driving thing is from as long as I can remember, my thing has always been insignificance. It has to matter that I lived. I had my first strategic plan when I was 9 years old. It has to matter that I lived. Okay, so that's me. So fear, loneliness, and insignificance. Okay, let's play a little game. Let's say you're going to buy a car and fear is your motivator. What kind of car are you going to buy? Volvo, right? Safety, right? Okay, how about loneliness, desire for community? I'm going to be one of the gang. Porsche, okay. Harley. Harley as a whole, great, right? How about to be significant, to stand out? Cadillac, okay, that's your brand. Anybody else? Tesla, I'm significance. I have a little Volkswagen VW convertible, a little hippie car. So I'm significance, but quirky, right? My husband's 6'4", and the reason we have this car is because he didn't want to take me to supper. And it was my birthday, and so he bought me a gift, and I said, well, where are you going? He goes, well, you want an experience too? Big fail. So I came home with a dog, a tattoo, and a car. And next year, guess what I got for my birthday? Supper! Right? Okay, so how does your organization alleviate suffering? If your members or the people that you're trying to sell is fear, you want to give them the feeling of safety. If it's loneliness, you want to give them community, a feeling of welcome. And if it's insignificance, you give them legacy, to contribute, the idea to make them matter. Does that make sense? Now, how you do this is subtle and also obvious. Verbiage is one way you do that. Symbolism is another way you do that. I'm going to walk you through a little bit about in our story. Okay, so how does Protech address these concerns? And please forgive me, I could have brought Life After tampons, but I didn't want to like beat the horse on that. So I'm giving you ones from my office, but it's not really a sales pitch. It's just like, here's how we're unfolding it. Okay, under safety, right now in the AMS marketplace, there's a lot of disruption. Sort of. It's like if you're old, like disruption is just part of life. But if you're new, you worry, oh, disruption. Oh, God, how am I going to survive disruption, you know? So we've seen this before. We're a second-generation company. So those are the ways we respond to that. 50% of our staff have been with us 10 years, and we have a trusted partner in Microsoft. So that our prospects that are motivated by trust issues, those are the kinds of things that will help solve their problems psychographically. With community, our decision makers suffer from decision isolation. It's a big decision. It's a career-making decision for a lot of our customers. That's a kind of scary thing. You know, a lot of them won't say that out loud, but it's what it is. Implementation isolation. So we build the partnership model. We have an optimization plan, and what we're looking to do is build a partner with you over time. And then I wrote a piece called AMS Remorse, Protech Opens the Kimono. And the reason I wrote that piece is because I found out when I started, 54% of people are unhappy with their AMS. How many people are unhappy with their AMS? Please say it loud and proud. Unhappy. My AMS. Daniel? Everybody's name. Okay. That's right. So, and that's the number. So, if it's 54%, there's a problem there, right? That has to be an industry problem. That can't be a vendor problem, right? It can't be because there's so many vendors, right? Okay, on legacy, countering insignificant. The work you do matters. When I interviewed with my boss, he's like, he's the nicest guy. I had 7 offers, I took this one. And so I met with Brian, he's the owner's son, and a whole lot of Bruffies in my office, and we're a family business. And he says, well, we're a software company. I said, well, with all due respect, sir, you're not a software company. It happens to be the platform, it's the thing that we sell, but that's not what we bring. We actually, through our customers, are feeding starving children. We're actually, through our customers, doing medical innovation and saving and changing lives. We're actually, through our customer, running more efficient governments so that when hurricanes come, first responders can get there. Yes, our platform is software, blah, 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 blah. But what we're really doing is providing goodness. We're automating goodness, and that's our tagline. They went with it. Our blog is called Goodness Matters, and you'll see in the copy that we use the copy Transform the Future. So for people who are into significance, those are some of the kinds of ways. Now, symbolism is really, really, really important, although people will tell you they're not, even though half of us are wearing symbols right now, some sort of another, right? So we have a Protech user group. It's called PUG, and the best thing I inherited from a marketing standpoint is Browser. I had him made, but our PUG is called Browser, and you'll see him all over my website. So I have Browsers here to share with you. So how does your organization alleviate suffering? Now, I know because I've sat in your shoes, some of the things that you do. So on fear, you want to give them safety, right? And so you provide curated information, helps your members stay competitive. People who are worried about competition are really worried about safety. You can trust our information. That's the lexicon that you want to use. Safety, trust, reliance, confidence. Those are the kinds of words that you want to use if you want to get that. Loneliness. You want to give them community, a feeling of welcome. Join with those of us who share your concern. Be part of the conversation. We welcome your input. You know, those kinds of things. It's going to give them a sense of community. And under insignificance, you give them legacy to contribute to the conversation. Make a difference through leadership opportunities. The growth path that you offer through professional development is a way to give significance to your members. Any questions about that? Okay, messaging bits and pieces. So let me tell you a little bit about sort of where I've positioned us. So before I took the job was before this disruption happened in the industry. And I did maybe a 70-hour competitive analysis of AMS systems and CRM systems. And I wanted to see, well, am I going to like these people? And also, where do we fit? So one thing that's a little overwhelming at first is it looks like there's a ton of us, right? Oh my God, there's so many AMS vendors. Well, there's really not, because really the first division is how many folks, how many users do you have? So you're either in a small association, a medium association, or a large association. So your AMS provider is like one of those. So once you're divided into that bucket, then the next bucket is, are you on what's it called, Dan? Yeah, a platform, or are you, what's the other one? Proprietary system, right? So you make that decision, and so once you make that decision, there's only 3 or 4. That's how that works, okay? So it's not this big, huge thing. Now, there are people, in every industry, there's the people that do the work, and then there's the people that make the work feeding on the fear of the people about to have to make the decision of doing the work. And I've been both, okay? So there's the industry providers, and then there's the pilot fish. So there's a whole lot of people that are going to try to foment fear and say, oh, it's a big decision. You shouldn't try to make this decision alone. You know, one of the people in our industry who writes about this, the last 4 of the 6 posts that this person has made has been about the one vendor in our association that's disruption. And that's fine. You know, everybody has to make a living. But what I want to say to you is that really, it's like once you get in there and you scratch the surface a little bit, it's really not that much that complicated. I mean, I've been selling technology forever. I'm not a techie person, but I fall in love with the ones who are, and then I bring them to supper with me. So our platform is going to be around trust and safety. We're a second-generation family. We've been there. We've seen it all. And so those are the messaging that I'm going to pass along. Innovation on top of a sound foundation. So our tagline is automating goodness. Our saying is family first, and it's kind of funny that we got slammed on family, Jamie, because I like my family. But okay, so family first. Imagery is browser. He's a family dog. He's loyal. Symbolism there. Our giveaways are the browser stuffed animals. The website is messaging in long form, and our unique selling proposition is trust, platform, and partnership. And so we're taking those psychographics and we're building them out in all different kinds of ways that spread throughout the organization. And you can do that too. Here's our brand new website. You can see I've got browser over here is on our chat button. So our brand is Alliance by Protech, helping association leaders automate goodness. And that's how I've tied all of those things together. That's it. I have 3 minutes and 41 seconds for questions. Does anybody have any questions about psychographics or persuasion or what's real and what's fake in marketing? I love to talk about that. Come on. Did I say anything shocking? Or questions?
What was that first one?
Life after tampons? Quit your bitching, change your life? Right. Okay. Oh, yes. Go ahead, love.
So one of the things that you were talking about earlier had to do with this, the psychographics, and at the very end you were kind of giving specific kinds of verbiage and so forth. And I can't help but think, because I've worked in marketing and communications, it's kind of the ever-present struggle of how to bring to life your mission for the organization. So what association have you seen that has not used those words?
Which ones, love?
The ones that have to do with, like, join and connect with peers and trust us, authoritative resource. I mean, I sort of feel like in many cases associations do use all of those words. And I'm not questioning your ideas, because I like the concept, but bringing that to life in a way that's unique and different and compelling is really, really tough. And I feel like every association website says, we're your trusted community of peers. We're reliable. We're the authoritative resource. So Protech was a great example, because I feel like in your setting, you've brought that to life in a very specific and unique way. For associations, how do we dig deeper beyond that surface level of come and be a part of the community of peers that will help you?
It's the gate before that one. Okay. The challenge we have in associations is that we don't have a bouncer at the front door. So the bouncer at the front door is the business we will not take, right? And so because the market is more competitive and everything, what we do instead is we try to create a segment to capture a new selection of business, instead of saying, well, this is the segment of business that we have, so that we're attracting people that are already on board with it in the segment within we are. And then it doesn't sound so banal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're basically saying that we cast two-eyed net, and
That's
then
right.
in the effort to please everybody,
That's
we
right.
kind of generate
Blah,
these
blah,
matches.
blah, blah, vanilla safe language. And if you do a content, there's a site called buzzsumo.com, and buzzsumo.com scours the internet for what's trending. And I have all my competitors are in there, and I have associations in there, and I want to hear what's latest in the voice. If you go to buzzsumo.com and you put your members associations or members industry in, you'll hear what's the latest. Well, it is sad, I almost said a bad word, in the AMS field, because it is the most vanilla, boring content out there. And people were working all the time because everything's so safe. We're all trying to be so safe. And so what you really want to do is be a little edgy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that I would add to that is, in my experience, especially with the current association I'm running, is you've got to do everything that you can possibly do to remove the barriers between member-to-member connection. Because at a certain point, all of these words do start to sound like blah, 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 blah. What you need is to get members to actually have the opportunity to experience that. And sometimes it's technology utilized, but sometimes it's honestly just old-fashioned technology, like a series of monthly networking conference calls that are open to smaller groups to come together to be able to connect. I mean, we always know if we can get them to the conference and get them in the hallways and they're starting to connect and getting answers to their questions and they're able to share their expertise, those are our super members because they get it. But my journey has always been, how do we replicate that without having people, to get people onto a plane? And I think the careful thing is we got to make sure that technology isn't even furthering the divide.
Right.
And knowing that that's really at the heart of it, it's the connection, that identity, and that belonging is really what makes for lifetime members and people who are able to access and experience that.
Yeah, you're going to have to take risk. Who said hot flash before? Okay, you get a browser. All right, love. Well, we'll be outside if you have any questions. I would love if you just want to have a marketing chat, like not AMS. I'm all about people who rise.